Welcome back, accomplices. I am struggle busting hard today, but we didn't want to let you down, so I put on my big girl pants and I'm doing the damn thing. Which leads me to the question, do you ever just feel like disappearing?
I know I do. No kids, no responsibilities. Unfortunately, for some people who just disappear, they are never seen or heard from again, and because of that, this week's episode is involving some of those cases.
People go missing every single day all over the United States. Many of these missing people are found within a short period of time. However, we cannot ignore those missing persons cases which remain unsolved for years or even decades. Their faces are seen on the walls lining grocery store entranceways and hallway billboard signs, missing among a population so intricately connected through social media and tech devices. The FBI released a data report claiming that in 2020 alone, over 540,000 people went missing in the United States. The report also adds that more than 340,000 of those people were juveniles. The National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, or NAMIS, provides the general public with a database containing every single missing persons by state, with the basic information provided with each file. Their database also includes unidentified Jane and John Does, who have been found all over the country, hoping that one day they will be identified.
The majority of missing persons cases are solved. In 2020, 543,018 missing persons cases were registered with the National Crime Information Center. That same department removed 480,832 in that same year, largely due to cases in which people were discovered or returned home, according to the FBI. That still leaves many families and friends who continue to wait, day after day, for their loved ones to be located. The FBI, in coordination with local law enforcement agencies, regularly updates a list of the most wanted missing persons cases in the United States. Cases that have gone cold are often reinvigorated with new rewards for information leading to answers. In all situations, the FBI asks the public to partner with the agency to help find those who have seemingly gone out of reach.
We are all familiar with the Amber Alert. This is an alert that is sent out when a child is reported missing, and it originated when 9-year-old Amber Hangerman was kidnapped while riding her bike on January 13th, 1996. A witness quickly told the police he'd seen a girl being forced into a black van. Despite a massive search, Amber was never seen alive again. Her body was found 5 days later, about 4 miles from where she had been taken. Her killer has never been found, but her abduction led to the invention of Amber Alerts. The record for the longest missing child goes to Marjorie West. She was born on June 2nd, 1933 in Bradford, Pennsylvania, and disappeared on May 8th, 1938 at the age of 4. If she is still alive today, she has been missing for 85 years.
The top most wanted missing persons cases from the FBI database for December 2021 include, but are not limited to, Randy Leach. In 1988, Randy Leach, a teenager from Leavenworth County, disappeared from a high school party and has never been found. What makes the case strange is there had been rumors of satanic cult activity in the county in the days before Randy's disappearance, and the party site had been cleaned meticulously before investigators arrived. Soon after, it burned to the ground. Most people who've cooperated in the investigation have turned up dead, and county officials declined to pursue further leads. There are theories about what really happened that night, but we may never know the truth. Tina Marcotte. In 1994, Tina called a friend to say she had a flat tire, but that her coworker, Tom Cuter, was going to help her out. Tina was never seen or heard from again, and when Tom was questioned by police, he disputed that he'd been in touch with Tina on that day. The next day, Tom was found dead. He had been run over by his own forklift. Was it an accident? Suicide? Homicide? And what happened to Tina Marcotte? Jose Dominguez went missing on August 2nd, 1981, while on his way to meet friends at a park in Stockton, California. Just 16 years old at the time, Dominguez attended Franklin High School, where he was a jazz trumpet player and a member of the wrestling team. 8 years after his disappearance, one individual was charged for alleged involvement. However, charges were dropped after testimony from a key witness fell through, according to the FBI. The California Attorney General's office believes Dominguez was a possible victim of foul play. Dominguez's family continues to spread the word about his 39-year disappearance. The FBI is offering a $5,000 reward for information that ultimately leads to Dominguez.
Shanice Harris disappeared in 2017 from Rock Hill, New York. She was last seen at around 8:30 p.m. on May 27th. While she has not made contact with anyone since that time, her vehicle, a 2017 Volkswagen Jetta, was found abandoned roughly 6 miles outside of Rock Hill on Southwoods Drive. According to the Charlie Project, reports do not indicate whether any of Harris's clothing or accessories worn the day of her disappearance have been discovered. She is described as having a tattoo on her forehead that reads Sparks, Sparkz. A tattoo on her left hand reads Rest in Peace. And the FBI, along with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office and Sullivan County District Attorney's Office, is offering a $10,000 reward to anyone who is able to provide information that leads to an arrest. If you have any information on Shanice's whereabouts, we urge you to contact Federal Bureau of Investigation's New York office at 212-384-1000 or the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office confidential tip line at 845-807-0158. Natasha, or Alex Carter, and Susan Gale Carter, just 10 years old at the time of her disappearance, Natasha Carter, known as Alex, to close friends and family, has not been seen in 21 years. Her last known location was in Beckley, West Virginia. Natasha Carter's mother, Susan Carter, has also been missing since that date. Susan Carter was considered a non-custodial parent at the time of Natasha's disappearance and was involved in a custody fight with Natasha's father. Susan allegedly told her husband he would never see his daughter again, according to the FBI. Susan may now go by Susan Gale Carter Webb and is believed to have likely altered her appearance. Natasha's grandmother has stated that her granddaughter was afraid of Susan. In an effort to bring new life to this cold case, the FBI has released updated age-enhanced photos of Natasha that can be found at http://wvmetronews.com.
That's all we have for facts this week, but we still have our cases to present, and I'm going first this week. Logan Schiendelman's disappearance has long been a topic of discussion simply because of how little the authorities and the public know about it. The young man seemingly disappeared into thin air on May 19th, 2016, with nothing to indicate any suspicious motives or foul play. Since then, there has been no trace of the then 19-year-old. Logan Drew Schiendelman was born on June 27th, 1996. He was raised primarily by his maternal grandmother, Virginia, or Ginny, Gabot, in Tumwater, Washington. Logan's mother, Hannah, was biracial, African American and Caucasian, and his father was a Saudi Arabian native. Hannah never had a relationship with Logan's father and moved to Seattle at the age of 23 to attend art school after his birth. When his mother moved, Logan and his older half-sister Chloe became legal dependents of his grandmother. According to Ginny, Logan's father left the United States before Logan's birth. Logan went on to attend Tumwater High School, where he had been a star defensive back on the school's football team and a model student. The public consensus was that he was a popular, well-liked, and well-mannered young man who was friends with almost everyone. His mom, Hannah, lived nearby in Olympia throughout most of his life. As mentioned, Logan was being raised by his white grandmother and never knew his African American side of the family at all. Some people say his grandmother kept him away from the African American side of his family and refused to let him visit them. His grandmother has denied this, of course, and claimed that that side of his family had never made an effort to get in contact with Logan. As a teenager, Ginny stated that Logan experienced an identity crisis due to being mixed race. After graduating high school in 2015, Logan enrolled at Washington State University, approximately 300 miles away in Pullman, Washington. He completed 1 year of his studies before deciding to drop out and return to Tumwater, where he moved back in with his grandmother and half-sister. He had started to smoke marijuana while in college, and his grandmother found out and thought this was his reason for being so paranoid when he came back. He started to believe he was being watched through his bedroom window and that someone was possibly following him. His family noticed that he had become more withdrawn after he came back. Ginny said, quote, he was kind of at a loss with what he was going to do with his life, end quote. Being back in Tumwater, Logan worked several jobs, which included a laundering facility and laboring on his great-aunt's 5-acre farm. Logan hadn't had any contact with his African-American side of the family until shortly before he disappeared. He reached out to his maternal relatives, and it was an emotional meeting. He was shown pictures of his grandfather and uncle from that side of the family, and was quoted as saying, "It feels good to see someone that looks like me." His aunt on this side said Logan seemed to want to know more about his background and had a lot of questions that he couldn't get the answers to at his current home. It was said that Logan told them if his grandmother found out he had been seen and talking to his black relatives, she would be very angry. His grandmother was asked about this by reporters, and she once again denied ever having held him back from the other side of his family. She claimed they never made any effort to get a hold of Logan or see him, and that she hadn't talked to his grandfather in many years either.
So I have a theory already. So, yeah, continue.
What's your theory?
I feel like there is definitely some mental health issues, especially with the mention of the personal identity crisis that he was having. I obviously see this all the time in my line of work. And with being estranged from part of his family, I have this theory that maybe he is just like living with them or in contact with them. And so he's cut off contact from like this other part of his family because he's very resentful of like his grandma.
It does seem that way.
That's just my theory. I guess either we're going to find out by the end of this or we're just not going to know.
You just solved this case.
Oh, sign me up for Quantico.
Logan was last seen by his grandmother on the morning of May 19th, 2016, when the two talked in their kitchen before leaving for their respective jobs. Ginny recalled their conversation. Quote, he was just really nervous, which he isn't usually, kind of on a mission, end quote. She also stated that he had claimed to have had an epiphany while he was driving around. Ginny told Logan that they could sit and continue their conversation later that evening after they had come home from work. She regrets brushing it off now and wishes she had talked to him about it instead of waiting. After Logan failed to arrive home, Ginny tracked his cell phone and saw it had pinged near Olympia, which led her to assume he was visiting his mother there. Ginny called her and was told he hadn't stopped by her home that day. By the following day, May 20th, Logan still had not returned home, and Ginny attempted to report him missing, but found that the Thurston County Police Department closed for the weekend.
I'm sorry. How does a police department just close?
Police aren't needed on the weekends, duh.
For the weekend? Are you kidding me? But also, everything you just said, kind of goes along with my theory. It kind of supports that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Carry on.
So, on Monday, May 23rd, she filed a missing persons report. Upon doing so, she was notified that Logan's car, a black 1996 Chrysler Sebring, had been impounded on May 20th. The vehicle had been discovered abandoned at milepost 92 alongside southbound I-5 in Rochester, approximately 20 miles south of his residence in Tumwater. His personal items, including his wallet, car keys, a bag of snacks, and cell phone, were all found in his car, which had been directly turned over to Ginny from the impound lot. Inside Logan's wallet was his debit card, driver's license, and $25 in cash.
Okay, now that part does not quite support said theory. Okay, I'm still holding out hope. And I say that just because from my perspective, I wouldn't give up my money.
Also, just for future, if you ever find a bag of my snacks and not me, something very terrible has happened to me.
Oh, yeah, same. Yeah.
Because where I go, my snacks go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. Oh, and if my dog has been left behind,
yeah,
send out a search party because I'm definitely missing. But do not put my face on a fucking milk carton, okay? None of my friends, half of us are lactose intolerant. We are not looking there, okay? We're not looking at a milk carton.
I'll put it on a wine bottle instead.
That works. Most of my friends drink. Even though I only have like 3 of them. So 2 out of the 3 of you drink.
Shortly after Logan's disappearance, several witnesses came forward to Thurston County Police stating they had witnessed Logan's car on I-5 the morning of May 20th. A woman driving on the interstate that morning reported seeing Logan with 2 Caucasian men standing at the back of his car, which was parked on the right shoulder of the interstate near exit 95. She recalled seeing the car in the same location when returning home that evening, but this time with the hood lifted and no one visibly present. She described one of the men as being around 6 feet tall, with a thin build, blonde hair in a bowl cut, and wearing a tank top and jean shorts that were too small for him, which I'm just trying to picture that, like this big old tall dude, fucking bowl cut, wearing like a tiny tank top and these tiny jean shorts. I bet he had cowboy boots on too.
Oh my God, yeah, with Spurs. Either that or he was wearing Crocs.
Crocs are comfy as shit, okay?
Yeah, they are. I know.
The other man was described as having shoulder-length blonde hair and wearing a flannel shirt with jeans. Little side note, on June 30th, 2017, so over a year after the disappearance, law enforcement released a police sketch of the first described man, but his identity still remains a mystery. Around 2 p.m., on May 20th, 3 individuals called 911 to report a car matching Logan's drifting across the lanes of the interstate near the milepost where his car had been discovered. The witnesses reported that the car veered across 3 lanes toward the center divider, hitting the concrete barrier and stopping. No one appeared to be driving the car. A truck driver passing by reported seeing a Caucasian man with brown or red hair jumping out of the car's passenger side and running into the woods on the side of the interstate. Later in the evening of May 20th, there was a potential sighting of a naked teenager in the area, though the identity of the individual is unknown. Thurston County Detective Frank Frowley stated, quote, "We thought that might have been Logan, and so they did initiate a search using dogs. They didn't locate anything. Could have been Logan, could have been anybody," end quote. So obviously, that statement was super helpful.
Yes. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom. We are nowhere closer to finding this boy.
Logan's uncle, Mike Ware, who is a retired Thurston County sheriff, assisted in organizing search efforts for his nephew. Searches focused on a 2-mile radius surrounding the interstate where Logan's car had been discovered, specifically the woods adjacent to the shoulder of the interstate. Searches were done both on foot and by aircraft, but no sign of Logan was found. In June 2016, Ware told NBC News, "The area is extremely thick and brushy. I've spent hours out there searching myself. Canines were brought in to search and it's been covered extensively, but nothing has been found." The Schiendelman family subsequently hired a private investigator to research his disappearance, but noted that little information was available, making search efforts difficult. Because Logan's car had been impounded and had not been processed by a crime lab, any potential evidence inside was rendered unusable. Using cell phone records, law enforcement were able to track Logan's movements on the morning of May 20th, which showed he had traveled towards I-5, heading south. He then turned around and headed north before reversing direction again, heading south on I-5 and eventually stopping where his car was recovered. Early in the investigation, law enforcement questioned the boyfriend of Chloe, Logan's half-sister, who had recently moved into their household. Tension between Logan and Chloe's boyfriend prompted detectives to question him, though he was ruled out as having any involvement in Logan's disappearance after passing a polygraph examination. Mike Ware still believes he has something to do with the case. There have been a few theories thrown around as to what happened to him. The first theory is that Logan left on his own accord to start a new life. All his life, he had only known one side, and as a multiracial teenager, he had to deal with a lot of racial remarks and questions. After he finally got in touch with the estranged side of his family and began getting answers, he claimed to have had an epiphany. Nobody knows what this was about exactly, but it might have had something to do with the identity crisis he went through in late high school.
Oh, I wonder who else had that theory.
I don't know. The second theory is that Logan's disappearance could have had something to do with the drugs he was said to have been on. It was known that he had started smoking marijuana in college, but it was not known if he had done anything harder than that, which just cracked me up when I read that. Just marijuana. So hard.
Yes. Oh, God. It is, again, the gateway to the refrigerator. Okay.
Some people think that he may have owed someone money for drugs or had started getting into harder drugs and got a bad deal. They also think that if he was into harder drugs, there's a possibility that he overdosed, which obviously is just totally hypothetical because there was no evidence that he did anything other than pot.
Yeah,
He did pot.
And if he was into hard drugs and he overdosed, don't you think there would be a body eventually?
You'd think. The third theory suggests that Logan may have had a mental breakdown after talking with his other side of the family. With the family drama that had been happening recently and the altercation with Chloe's boyfriend, that could have put more pressure on his mental state. He maybe had an identity crisis that sent him into a spiral. Smoking marijuana that made him more paranoid would have made it worse. He also thought people had been watching him, especially through his bedroom window, and this could have led him to want to run away or end his own life.
Okay, so it sounds to me like he has paranoid schizophrenia, and if he wanted to end his own life, again, where's the body?
The fourth theory is that Logan ran into foul play. His uncle Mike still believes Chloe's boyfriend had some involvement in Logan's disappearance. Though the local authorities have already ruled him out as a suspect, Mike isn't convinced. Authorities also are unsure if the two blonde men were involved or if they know something about what happened to him. While working on other leads at the moment, they also think it could have been a robbery gone wrong or even an accidental death. No matter what happened, it is out of character of Logan to leave without a word, and his disappearance has left his family utterly baffled. Police believe that it's not outside the realm of possibility that Logan may have been suffering from an unknown mental illness at the time he vanished. However, since his whereabouts and fate are still not known, this is mere speculation. The police have also stated that neither any evidence suggesting that foul play is involved, nor any suggesting that Logan is still alive, have been found. Logan was 19 years old when he went missing in 2016. He would be 26 today. He is 6 feet tall and between 150 and 190 pounds. He is a multiracial, African American, Caucasian, Saudi Arabian male with black hair and brown eyes. His head is normally shaved, and he has a small scar on his left forearm. He is severely allergic to peanuts and is supposed to have an EpiPen on him in case of exposure. But when he went missing, he didn't have it with him. He was last seen wearing a black windbreaker jacket, a white shirt and jeans, and possibly Nike shoes. As of today, in 2023, Logan's whereabouts remain unknown. His family has offered a $10,000 reward for anyone with information leading to a break in his case. They want Logan to know that he's welcome home anytime, no matter what happened. They also want to let him know that he can always call them to at least let them know he's okay, even if he doesn't want to come back home. If you or anyone you know have any information about Logan's whereabouts, you are asked to call the Thurston County Sheriff's Office at 360-786-5500.
Okay, obviously my theory is pretty supported The two theories about him either having like an overdose or just wanting to end his life. I mean, unless somebody went to the lengths to hide his body, which is also a crime, they're not adding up for me because I feel like there would be a body. And unless his sister's boyfriend is really good at getting away with murder and hiding a body, it's hard to track that one just because there's not really any evidence besides hearsay surrounding it. So
my theory is pretty much your theory, that he left on his own, probably to, meet and check out his estranged side of the family, and then just never came back. Struggling, obviously, with mental health issues, and it seemed like everyone was kind of aware that he was struggling with something there. And so when he was finally getting the answers that he wanted from the other side of his family, he either left to go start a new life, or left to go be with that side of the family.
Yeah. And so I know previously I had said, if it was me, I wouldn't leave my car behind. I wouldn't leave my money behind or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But on the same token, if you're a paranoid schizophrenic, you feel like these people are going to come and try and find you anyways. Obviously, your family loves you. And even if you're not a paranoid schizophrenic, which I don't know for certain that he is, but that's just kind of where some of those signs are pointing for me anyways. I do understand where somebody would leave those belongings behind because it would make it seem more like they died. They were killed, they died, they were in an accident, whatever have you. The thing about him being allergic to peanuts and not having an EpiPen, I mean, he could be dead, Somebody could have opened a bag of peanut M&Ms around him and there he goes. That's not funny, but I mean, it is, but it's not. But yeah, I'm sticking to my theory, him just deciding that he wants to be a part of the other family, especially when he made the comment, it's good to see somebody who looks like me.
Yeah.
Because for a moment there, I had forgot that he was also Saudi Arabian, which makes his skin darker.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree with your theory. To me, that it sounds like that's what happened. Obviously, nobody knows for sure, and he very well likely could be dead or any other possibility, but that theory makes the most sense to me as well.
Yeah, it definitely makes the most sense to me too. Well, I guess it's my turn. And since I'm kind of on a streak for multiple cases and the fact that I can never decide, I have two for you guys this week. So the first case I have is in regards to Rachel Garden. Rachel Elizabeth Garden was born on December 30th, 1964, the oldest of 4 children. She had a good relationship with her family, except for a few arguments surrounding her having to babysit her siblings. And I can't really blame her for that. I am the youngest, but I've had to watch my friends' kids, or not my friends' kids, my friends' younger siblings sometimes. And yeah, that's probably annoying.
I have an older sister, as you know, and I remember throughout childhood, she'd be left to watch me, and she definitely didn't want to at that time.
No kidding. Sometimes I feel like my sister resents me because she had to watch me growing up.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, described as fun-loving, friendly, and outspoken, Rachel was known to be rebellious from time to time. While she could be headstrong, she would complain to friends about the rules her parents set for her. She was generally seen as a good kid. Rachel attended Sanborn Regional High School, where she was a freshman. While there, she would sometimes skip class in order to drink alcohol and smoke with other students in the woods located near Maple Avenue.
Sounds like your life.
That's literally what I was going to say, because as a high schooler, I actually used to go into the woods. We called it the pit, and we would smoke. I didn't drink alcohol much when I was in high school because I got alcohol poisoning one time. I never wanted that shit again. I did other stuff, though.
We led complete opposite high school lives.
Yes. We literally are polar opposites. I'm night and you're day.
Yeah.
When not at school, Rachel could be found spending time with her horse, which she loved dearly. See? Look, that's you.
And there's me.
I don't like horses.
What?
They scare the shit out of me.
Maybe you scare the shit out of them.
I don't know what's not to love about me. On the evening of March 22nd, 1980, Rachel walked to Rose Corner Market located on Route 108 in Newton, New Hampshire, where she was a regular. While there, she purchased some chewing gum and a pack of cigarettes with a $5 bill. Upon receiving her change, she departed from the store between 9 and 9:30 p.m.
Wait, so she got change for buying gum and a pack of cigarettes for $5?
Yep.
Damn.
Yes, she did. It was the 80s.
It was the 80s, man. What a time.
No shit. Nowadays, I drive to a completely different state just to buy cheaper cigarettes. And they're still $8. Fucking chewing gum is $4.
$8.
No shit. According to Peter Jewett, the owner of Rose Corner Market, he saw Rachel walking north on Main Street. Her family says she was planning on spending the night at a friend's house, which was located on the 50 block of the street. She never arrived at said friend's residence. On the morning of March 23rd, 1980, when Rachel had not returned home, her mother threw
She threw something at the wall. God damn it, Rachel!
Yeah. On the morning of March 23rd, when Rachel had not returned home, her mother knew something was wrong and reported her daughter as missing to police around 10 a.m. On March 24th, her mother telephoned administrators at Sanborn Regional High School to let them know her daughter wouldn't be there that day. She didn't specify the reason as to why. Given Rachel's age, her disappearance was initially treated by police as a runaway case. According to one of her friends, she had discussed running away around the time she vanished. Given this, no posters or flyers were put up around town. At the time, Newton's police department only had one full-time officer, as the then police chief had recently died. There was no mention of Rachel's disappearance in the department's town report for the year of 1980. When questioned by investigators, the friend Rachel was supposed to be staying with on the night of March 22nd said she hadn't made plans with her that night and was unaware she was coming over. The friend never saw Rachel.
That to me sounds like Rachel was meeting up with somebody, but just using her friend as an excuse.
Oh, yeah.
Which, coming from experience, as someone who had that happen a lot to them, sounds like it was someone that she didn't want her parents to know about.
I already know who you're talking about because I was literally there with her one time. When we stopped by your house so that your mom could write her a note for why she's going to be absent that day. A search of the woods where Rachel frequented was conducted by a group of volunteer firemen and Boy Scouts. However, it produced no evidence or leads. While no wide-scale searches were done in relation to the case, helicopters were flown over nearby wooded areas, swamps, and fields to try and find any trace of the missing girl. A search of the garden home showed Rachel had left behind all of her belongings. Years after her disappearance, 2 witnesses came forward to say they'd seen Rachel talking with 3 men in a dark-colored car near Rose Corner Market. It's reported she knew the trio, who had troubled relations and were involved in criminal activity. One of them would later serve time in prison for assault and rape.
Oh, so they were good guys.
No, Shayna, that's what I just said.
Sarcasm, Tara.
They were not.
They were not.
Allegedly, while at a bar in Haverhill, Massachusetts, one of the men confessed to killing Rachel. While specifics about his confession have not been released, it did prompt investigators to dig up a site off Route 108, beside a stone wall and a stream. However, no remains or evidence were found. It is currently unknown if any of the men were involved in Rachel's disappearance, and none of them have been publicly named. During the search, Rachel's parents consulted with psychics and hired private investigators, but their efforts proved fruitless.
You laughing at fruitless?
I was laughing at the fact that they consulted physician, or that they
Consultant physicians.
that they consulted psychics. I shouldn't even be laughing at that, because I mean that's what I would do if like anybody in my family went missing. I'd
Yeah.
contact a psychic. But at the same time, like I had a joke, like the didn't see that coming type joke, but I lost it. Okay. During the search, Rachel's parents consulted with psychics and hired private investigators, but their efforts proved fruitless. Her mother followed up on sightings from Haverhill and Hampton Beach, but both remain unconfirmed. In the 1990s, the State Major Police Crime Unit excavated a 60 square foot patch of woods in town. No evidence was recovered. At one point during the investigation, a $10,000 reward was offered. Rachel is one of many missing females believed to have possibly been Princess Doe, an unidentified deceased female found in Blairstown, New Jersey on July 15th, 1982. However, she has been ruled out as a match. In 2008, Newton police received a tip that led them to search Ice Pond and Country Pond, located within the area. 6 hours were spent using sonar and GPS equipment to look at the bottom of Ice Pond, while divers spent 2 days searching Country Pond. However, both searches brought up nothing. In 2013, the then police chief of Newton passed on a potential tip to the state cold case unit, and specifics haven't been revealed. According to police, they have chased every lead in the case, along with the use of search dogs and consults with psychics. They've dug up numerous possible grave sites, but to no avail, given the case is still open. They are unable to release much information to the public. Voluntary disappearance is still considered a possibility in Rachel's case. However, police are now investigating other theories, including the possibility of foul play. Rachel's dental records and DNA are currently available for testing. Before she went missing, she'd had some orthodontic work done, for which she wore a dental retainer. She had 3 dental fillings, and before having any orthodontic work done, she'd had all 4 of her wisdom teeth removed. There are a few theories surrounding Rachel's disappearance. The initial theory in the case is that Rachel voluntarily ran away from home. This was corroborated by the story she told to her parents the night she went missing regarding her staying over at a friend's house. Given the friend had not made plans with Rachel, some have questioned if she falsely told her parents this in order to get a head start. However, her family and those who knew Rachel find it uncharacteristic of her to leave home and feel she was too naive to set out on her own. The other prevailing theory in the case is that Rachel's disappearance is the result of foul play. Police believe her to be deceased, and many who have reviewed the case feel the 3 men she was last seen speaking with to be involved. Some online web sleuths feel Rachel's disappearance is to be related to that of another missing New Hampshire girl, Lauren Ron. Lauren went missing from Manchester, New Hampshire on April 26, 1980, and her disappearance is believed to have been at the hands of suspected serial killer Terry Rasmussen. There is currently no evidence linking the 2 cases. Many of Rachel's schoolmates didn't learn about her disappearance until months or years after it occurred. It was the general consensus that she either moved away or dropped out. As the years have gone by, Rachel's mother has become reluctant to talk about the case. Rachel Garden went missing from Newton, New Hampshire on March 22, 1980. She was 15 years old and was last seen wearing a 2-toned blue ski parka, a plaid shirt with silver threads, blue jeans, and brown lace-up shoes. She was carrying a dark blue tote bag with the word "things" imprinted on the side. At the time of her disappearance, she was 5'1" and weighed approximately 100 pounds. She has light brown hair and hazel eyes, and her ears are pierced. Currently, the case is classified as a non-family abduction due to the lack of evidence. If alive, she would be 58 years old today. If you have any information regarding the case, you can contact the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office at 603-679-2225 or the Newton Police Department at 603-382-6774.
I can see how a couple of those theories make sense. The theory about the guys taking her, having some, something to do with her abduction or disappearance. And then I can also see how it's set up to make us believe that she just left willingly.
I totally agree with you. I feel like on one hand, it does make sense that maybe she was abducted by the three guys, or maybe she went with them willingly and they either killed her or she just ran away. But also, being a 15-year-old girl, I always would threaten, I'm going to run away. I hate this place. I hate my parents' rules, hate this, hate that, want to rebel. Yada, yada, yada. Even to the point, there was a couple times I got so mad at my parents, I packed my shit, wrote a note and was going to leave, and then realized like I really like my bed and my house and like, like I would still come home. That's what makes it hard to believe that she just went with them, with the intent of never coming back. I mean, unfortunately, there are really no leads aside from those three. And that one guy claiming that he murdered her, okay. Well, I can't say nobody just admits that. We know plenty of silly serial killers that just admit that. It's so sad. All right, guys. So like I stated, I do have 2 cases for you this week. So my second case is in regards to William Ebenezer Jones Jr.
That is the coolest name.
I know.
Just the fact that his middle name was Ebenezer.
I know. I love
like
that.
Like Scrooge.
Yes. Oh, you're going to get you'll get the connection in just a little bit to the Scrooge. Oh, that's so sad. Little baby Scrooge. Anyways.
Little baby Scrooge.
William Ebenezer Jones Jr. was just 3 years old when he vanished in Vineland, New Jersey. He had been seen playing outside with his sister, who said that the boogeyman had taken him. It was a chilly winter morning on the 17th of December in 1962 when 3-year-old William was playing with his sister Jill outside their New Jersey home.
There's the connection. December 17th.
Yeah.
For Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yep. Their mother, Evelyn, periodically watched from the window while looking after her younger son and preparing lunch. William lived on Taylor Avenue with his parents and 2 younger siblings. The family home was decorated for Christmas, which was fast approaching. Underneath the Christmas tree were William's presents, including coloring books and a toy tank. Tragically, young William never got the chance to play with his new toys. Maybe he never got the chance to play with any toys ever again, because on that fateful day, William vanished.
Rip my heart out, why don't you?
It started out like a typical busy pre-holiday day. William's father departed the home that morning to start his shift at the New York Shipbuilding Co. in Camden. Evelyn ran some errands in the morning with the children. William got a haircut, and then they stopped at the bank. Upon returning home, William and Jill went to play outside with the family dogs, a basset hound and a collie. While playing outside with his sister, William was wearing a blue-gray snowsuit, a matching hat, and tan high tops with yellow laces. That sounds so cute. Can you guys
Just
imagine that?
Big old marshmallow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The toddler had bright blue eyes, big ears, and a vaccination scar that was shaped like a giraffe on his upper left arm. Oh my gosh, giraffes are my favorite animal.
Now I know why you picked this one.
William loved dogs, reading and playing with toy cars. He was just 3 months shy of his 4th birthday and had a habit of twisting curls in his hair and walking with a quirky shuffle. At around 11:45 a.m., a neighbor spotted William on his own and suggested that he go back home. Then at 1 p.m., Evelyn heard a knock at the door. She opened the door and was shocked to see only Jill standing in the doorway. Jill, who was only 2 years old at the time, entered the home carrying a plastic potted poinsettia. Say that 5 times fast.
Plastic potted poinsettia. Plastic potted poinsettia. Plastic potted poinsettia. Oh, that wasn't 5 times.
Jesus. Okay. You guys get the point. She had told Evelyn she had got it from William. She also told Evelyn that the quote-unquote boogeyman had taken William. Miss Jones rushed from the home and frantically ran up and down the street looking for William. While searching, an unknown man approached Evelyn in his green car and asked, "Are you okay, Miss Jones?" Evelyn didn't reply. She didn't know the man and didn't ask for his name or ask why he was looking for her. She continued her search, but when William was nowhere to be seen, he was reported missing by Evelyn. The family basset hound Baby was also missing. However, she was later found a short distance from the home, soaking wet. Meanwhile, neighbors were already searching for him, kicking off a 4-day search, which included hundreds of police officers, firefighters, National Guard troops, and volunteers alike. All of the area's emergency services were called in, and they trawled through the area on foot, by boat, and by air. They searched the woods and swampland in the vicinity of William's home, and Maurice River was also searched. 2 Navy helicopters were flown in to scour the area from above. Bloodhounds from Philadelphia were also shipped in, but they lost the scent near the family home. The entire area had already been stomped over and driven over. Unfortunately, the search was unfruitful. There was no sign of William anywhere. The disappearance evoked fear in the city and made national news. Understandably, William's parents couldn't come to terms with his disappearance and moved away from the city shortly afterwards. William's father began to drink, and the family didn't speak much about the disappearance at home. As a result of the disappearance, Mr. and Mrs. Jones became extremely overprotective. One early line of investigation was the plastic poinsettia. It became somewhat of a cause to celebrate in the investigation, as there were early reports that somebody had been selling the flowers around the neighborhood shortly before William vanished. However, it was later uncovered that it had simply come from a neighbor's trash and had been passed around by several local children. After learning there was a trash collection in the area between 1:30 and 2 p.m. on the day William disappeared, investigators questioned whether he could have crawled into the trash bin or even whether he could have been killed and thrown into a trash bin. They questioned the trashmen, who said they hadn't seen the boy and they would have noticed him being emptied into the truck. Nevertheless, investigators went to the landfill to search for any sign of the boy, but to no avail. At one point in the investigation, the Jones family turned to a local psychic who claimed that William was still alive. She told the family that he had been abducted by a man whose wife was having a mental breakdown due to the death of her own toddler son. She theorized that William was taken to an Amish area in Pennsylvania and raised by a new family. However, investigators doubted this theory, stating that William would have memories of his real family and would have informed somebody of his true identity as he got older. In 1964, another local psychic told investigators that William had been struck and killed by somebody who did not intend to harm him. They panicked and then buried William in a nearby area. The psychic gave investigators a description of the man's car and appearance. Years later, Jill would be put under hypnosis in the hopes that she would recount more information about the day her brother disappeared. She recalled holding hands with William as 2 men fought in front of an oil drum fire at the Palace of Depression, a landmark near the family's home. She said, quote, "I remember running and eventually I could see the door to my house," end quote. During the investigation, the Palace of Depression was an attraction built from discarded material. It was extensively searched, as it was theorized that William could have wandered in there or could have been hit by a car and disposed of there. In the wake of the disappearance, Jill had dreams about her brother. "It's like he's on the other side of a brick wall and he's calling me and I have to find a way to get to him," she said. "I still say I'm going to find him." Over the forthcoming years, age progressions of William have been released showing what he may look like as an adult. Information about William's disappearance was entered into the National Crime Information Center system. His sister provided a DNA sample. Despite hundreds of leads and tips, no body was found, no arrests were made, and no credible sightings have ever been reported. "Somebody has to know something. I really do believe that," said retired Viceland Police Sergeant Patrick Daughtry. "Until I see a body, I'm not going to rule out that he's alive." It's now generally believed that William was abducted as opposed to wandering off. Despite a lengthy search and an extensive investigation, William remains missing. Jill is now the last remaining member of William's immediate family. On top of a cabinet in her home, she has an urn containing the ashes of her mother, father, and younger brother. When someone dies, you know where they're at, she said. But with Billy, you don't have an answer. Anyone with information about Billy Jones or William Ebenezer Jones Jr.'s disappearance is asked to call the Viceland Police Department at 856-691-4111. And those are my cases.
I feel like the abduction theory on his is a very likely scenario because people are terrible. But the only thing that makes me question that is why only take one of the kids? If both little children were available, why would you only...
If he was taken by like the Amish family or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
or
to
taken raised by the Amish family. Yeah, to replace the boy that they had because she was already having a mental breakdown. So if you brought in both of the kids, that would probably just fuck her up more. The only part of that doesn't make sense is they say like he would have some memory. I'm like, yeah, but not a whole lot of memory. Like from the age of like 3 to 6, a lot of those memories are just like really blurred. And brainwashing is a real thing. And Stockholm syndrome is a real thing. So it could have been like conditioned out of him, or, you know, he just might not have those memories, or if he does have memories of like his mom and sister, maybe he thought it was like an aunt and a cousin, like because he was so young. Yeah. That's really my theory, is that the abduction definitely makes sense to me. I don't think he just wandered off because, again, like with like the palace of depression that they have, that or like the garbage thing, like a body would be found. So the fact that there's no body, no trace, leads me to believe that yes, he was probably abducted. And the other thing about not telling anybody, like when you're Amish, like if you're living in an Amish community, like if you're like hardcore, how are you going to tell somebody? You are just in that community. I mean, unless, you know, until Rumspringa.
I don't know what that is.
It's a celebration. Hold on. I'll look it up for you. In the Amish community, Rumspringa is a traditional period and a way for adolescents to meet and date. The idea being that youths will then make their commitment not only to the church, but also to each other in marriage and join the church as a unit. Like during Rumspringa, you're allowed to you're allowed to party, date, pretty much do whatever you want. And then at the end of it, but it's like a coming of age thing. At the end of it, you have to choose. And I believe it's like 3 days long, like 3-day long thing. You have to choose whether or not you're going to continue to live in like the Amish lifestyle, give yourself to God and like, you know, marry and do all of the things that they require you to do being in that community, or you can choose to not do that and you're kind of like excommunicated almost. Yeah.
I see.
That theory I definitely do support.
That makes sense. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you have any information about the missing persons mentioned, please do not hesitate to contact the proper authorities. As always, we want to hear from you. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or by emailing us at thickthighsmurdervibes@gmail.com.
So this is usually the part where we announce the following week's episode, but as you all know, life gets busy sometimes. With that being said, we will be taking a minor hiatus from recording, but just for a few weeks, as we have many things happening in our personal lives.
Before we go, we have a quick shout out for 2 of our listeners, Sarah Thompson and Reese Bollet. Congratulations to the happy couple as these 2 souls become one on July 29th.
We are so very excited for you both and wish you many years of happiness. For the rest of you, we will be back in August for season 2 with more murder, mystery, and other mishaps. Thank you all for your continued love and support, and we will see you next month. Bye. We'll be back in a couple weeks. We love you.